Call this meeting to order of the Lincoln County Board of Education, meeting in regular session on Tuesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. And we are at the central office in Hamlin. This meeting is being video live streamed, and a copy of the meeting will be on the board's website within 5 working days. At this time, I'm going to ask everyone to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. All right, at this, we have no public comment. No one signed up for it. At this time, I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Frank Barnett, and he can introduce his presentation tonight.
All right, at this point in time, we have, we're still in the middle of our LSIC presentations. Tonight is Duval Middle or Pre-K 8, and being represented by Josh Barnett and Cassie Stone. So take it away, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you all for having us today. I was watching some of these other LSICs. I know other schools got to host, so this is technically us hosting you. The acoustics out in Griffithsville and that ground's not quite ready for a board meeting yet, but I appreciate you having us. Introduce Miss Stone, assistant principal at Duval. She just handed you the folders. We used the template that was given to us last year to do this presentation, so I'm just going to kind of read from it. I provided you all with the written part and some figures and charts in the folder that was given to you. So the first topic here, of course, myself, Josh Barnett. I'm the principal at Duval PK 8. I'm assistant principal Cassie Stone. Per Zoom, we have 28 professional staff members and 12 support staff members. And there's a breakdown of our enrollment by grade with a total enrollment as of the October deadline of 296. Of those 296, 89 are considered homeless with the McKinney-Vento Act. 33% are considered special education. We have 33 suspensions this school year, 307 discipline referrals, and 1 expulsion.
Well, Josh, that's 89% homeless is a big number, isn't it?
It's 89 students out of the.
Oh, 89, not
89
a percent.
students, yeah.
Okay. The first one, I see that.
Yeah,
I
it's
looked
just-
at that percent and then I
Gotcha.
just looked at it.
Yeah, special ed's roughly 102, I think, out of the. All right, so the first box to the top right would be the strategies to improve test scores. We've done quite a few things this school year. The most important would be, Miss Stone has worked with myself and Miss Dunlap, Sarah Dunlap, Joni Shortridge to offer the Ashlock program here at Duval for all grades K through 5. We've done 90 minutes every day in their everyday core program. As well as the WIN, which is the What I Need program, the intervention, and that's 40 minutes a day. And that is given to the students regardless of grade level. They're grouped into these groups based on their deficits, and they're given that 40 minutes of intervention daily. And that is grades K through 5, as well as here at Duval, we're doing our special education students in grades 6 through 8, and they get 48 minutes per day, just targeted intervention. Middle school, we also did 2 48-minute periods of intervention this school year. That's 1 48-minute periods for ELA and 1 48-minute periods for math. And I think we're seeing some good progress, especially when Jennifer Ashlock came to Duval and did her visit. In our debrief, she actually said that some of the middle school things she saw made her tear up because the kids were responding so well to the program. And we have Miss Brandy McFadden and Miss Brittany Webb and Mr. Paddock to thank for that. They've worked really hard. All of our teachers have been on board. The staff here is just fantastic. And and ready to try these things to help improve our students. We'll get to the data in a minute. Our test scores have not been great over the last few years, but we're trying to bring that up. And I think some of these interventions that we're doing is going to do that. Next, we'll flip over to our goals. We met as a team when we did the strategic plan to discuss these goals, and we came up with these 3 goals. We have a 5% growth in mathematics and ELA based on the iReady or the GSA data. We're going to look at both when compared to the 23-24 school year. We're also going to try to reduce the amount of teacher discipline referrals by 10% from the 23-24 year to this school year. However, I would like to add that with our new master schedule, I put in our schedule lunch detention for the students. That way we could offer another form of discipline that wouldn't be suspension or in-school suspension. And with that, our write-ups have actually gone up. However, the suspensions have went down quite a bit, and we'll get to that in a second. But I don't want to lie to you and say we're going to meet that 10% goal, because right now it's a little bit over what we had last year at this time. And that would be because we have an alternative means of discipline. You know, we're not just doing in school every time. So I've spoke to some teachers about this, some of my most frequent teachers who have written kids up. And a lot of it is because they can come to our office and have a conversation with us or be placed in lunch detention a little more easily than they were before when they were given ISS or OSS. So the teachers feel a little more comfortable sending them to us, knowing that the consequence is going to start with lunch detention, which we couldn't offer before. The third goal, we want to improve our attendance rate by at least 3%. That's actually going pretty well. We are, again, I'll show you the figures in a second, but that goal is definitely attainable. We went from about 87% to 89% right now, and that's in part to Mr. Rod Hoover's doing a great job in the attendance department. Our CIS person.
Excuse me just a second.
Yes.
Hey, Robin, you have an extra pen? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All good. I was saying Mr. Hoover's done a great job as the attendance director, sending out, documents that show the students chronic absenteeism that you can print from Weavis, color coded so the parents can see it. I got some calls about that as soon as they went home with the report cards. That's just an extra form of communication to the parents. And then of course our CIS staff member and our counselor and our social worker make those phone calls home to students who are chronically absent. So I think we're seeing some progress in that. And I also think as a school this year, we implemented something called Yellow Jacket Time. And that was for our middle school students to give them a little bit of, it's a 30-minute club out of the master schedule where they didn't have before. They do things like yearbook, coding, model building. There's a film appreciation class. There's a forensics class. And that just gives them something fun they can do for 30 minutes a day. It's opposite their lunch. So there's 2 lunch periods for middle school, 30 minutes for lunch, 30 minutes for Yellow Jacket Time. And I think that's something that middle school kids love it. They didn't really have that before. And that's something I think that's also improving our attendance. Okay, so celebrations. I'll have you look real quick at figure B. While I'll talk about this. These were some of the things I said I would show you. There's our attendance rate over the last few years. And as you can see, as of today, it's 89.47%. So we are searching for
figure B.
figure B. It should be in the back of your. Keep going.
Okay. It's this.
Yes, that's. Sorry. So the first part here is the attendance rate. And you can see 89.47%. It's the highest we've had in a while. If we can maintain that, that would be great. And that's our goal to do so. And we can also, keep that up. We do some PBIS rewards with some field trips, things like that. You have to miss X amount of days to have a fun day. And, I think that goal of getting to 90%, which is what we're looking for, I think that's something we can reach. As I was saying, our suspensions are actually down. If you look at the next figure there, in 21-22, we had 211 suspensions, and it's went down every year. This year, we have 33 as of today. So if you prorate that for 180 days of school, that would be 80 suspensions. So our numbers are decreasing every year for suspensions, and that also helps your attendance, and it helps your academics, because if students are not in the seat, they're not going to learn anything. So we're trying our best to keep them in school. Of course, there's certain violations to policy 4373 that require suspension, but If not, we try to do other means first. And Ms. Stone and I have worked on a discipline matrix together that we follow to the T, and we make sure that we're doing the same thing, remaining consistent, and trying to keep down on those suspension days. All right, and then down to the third, the GSA proficiency rates. We have it's been maintained fairly consistent over the last 3 years. We're not declining a lot, but we're not growing. So that's a concern. We want to grow. It's good that we're not declining, but we want to grow. So obviously we have a goal to do better. And I think some of the things we've implemented this year will allow us to do that with the ASHLOC program, the intervention periods for middle school, things of that nature. All right, let's see. PLCs and leadership team. Also included in your all's folder that we have a leadership schedule. But the way it works at Duval, we have leadership PLCs, professional learning communities. They meet every week, depending on ELA, math, social studies, science, and then elementary. There's a member of our leadership team in each of those PLCs. So they discuss in the PLCs, then we meet as a leadership team and discuss concerns, needs, things that need addressed, things of that nature. And we discuss it as a leadership team. That way we can implement that in our school. Next would be current culture and climate. When I spoke to a lot of our staff members to try to figure out what to put on this, overall, they deemed it as positive. We've added a lot of Duval signage and some quotes, inspirational quotes in the hallway. It was kind of blank when I got here last January, and it didn't quite feel like a school yet. And honestly, in my interview for Duval, I said Duval is a people, it's not a place. But also the feel needs to be there too. So we wanted to make it look more like a school. The teachers have helped by hanging up student work and things of that nature. Mr. Torman actually helped me make some banners, Duval PK8 banners. And then Mr. Barnett and Mr. Cremines helped get the Duval sign, put it back up out front. So those are just things I asked for to, make the school look a little more like a school. Because we've done a lot to put us here, and we're very thankful. But I wanted the kids to at least feel like they were in school. Let's see. And then also I put in here that we added clubs as well as advanced art and advanced band to try to help our kids, have more things to do here. Next is needs or additional assistance. Things we've asked for and received. A new playground, which has been great. Our elementary kids love it. We're very thankful for that. The Duval signs that I asked for, we've received those. When I got here in January, Duval did not have a bell system to release middle school students from class to class. So I got with Mr. Spence second week to make sure we had that, because I just felt like it was necessary. And Ms. Stone and I agreed that it would be good for the teachers and the students to be used to that before they go to high school. So Mr. Spence helped me, and we got a system going now. We have bell schedules. We received a new exterior door in the middle school side here because the other one had some rust on it, and I was concerned with some safety. And I also requested a special education co-teacher for my elementary and my middle school students, because as I said, we're 33% special ed. So it's a high number. And that co-teacher has really helped get in some of these crowded classrooms and help with these students.
Did the special ed teachers go into the classroom?
Yeah, we have two co-teachers here. One for elementary, she's half-time, half-time midway, half-time here. She does 4th and 5th grade co-taught. And then we have a full-time co-teacher for middle school, and he goes in all kinds of classrooms.
Okay,
He has a whole
well, that's good.
rotation. So
Instead of them being pulled out and they
Right.
kind of don't feel good.
right, you
Doing
get
that.
right,
They
definitely.
don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
that works out.
And it gives you another option, because it's either resource or gen ed, or you can do a co-taught environment, and it's always good to
That's
have
good.
that option.
Mhm.
Some things that I feel like Duval needs, full-time nurse. I've spoken with Mr. Barnett about that. We have Miss Brogan here. We're very thankful for her, but we do share her with Midway. And there has been many occasions where kids' blood sugar has dropped, or they're feeling dizzy, or they've sliced open their arm. And all of us, just not to be too, gross, but I've wiped butts. We've bandaged up kids. We do everything that we can to help, but at times I feel like, I'm not trained medically to handle some of the things. Now, Jenny Polly does a great job. if I call her and I need something, if someone getting over here, for example, today a boy hit his head in gym class and our nurse wasn't here. So I called Jenny Polly. She was over here within 40 minutes or so to check in out.
Who's Jenny
She's our
Polly?
lead nurse.
She's our lead
in
nurse.
County.
Where she's stationed
She's
at?
stationed at the high school.
Okay, all right.
So it does help, but I think having a full-time nurse in every building, honestly, in the county would be very beneficial to the school because it, it is needed.
How many would we have to add, Mr. Barnett? To have one at every school, or maybe have one that goes to two small schools,
We could add one more.
we need to think about that.
I remember the days when we had 2 for about 6,000 students.
Yes, so do I, David.
I agree. I mean, I
Yeah,
see your
yeah.
point on that, and there's a lot of runny noses that might not need to go to the nurse. But there's also a lot of concerned parents that want to know
And there is,
why
and
we're
it's
not
different
contacted by a
time.
nurse.
Well, this will be a moot point when they're in a new building because there'll be a Lincoln
Right.
primary care there.
But we
Yeah.
might want to just, look at that for that would be a good thing to do if we can afford to do that, or start it out and then carry when they move to their new building.
And like I spoke to our LSIC group, and I even said, everybody's been great here, so I don't have a whole lot of things I've asked for and not received. So we just brainstorm with some things that we might need, because typically when we're trying to get something done, it does get done. But I've asked for Mr. Spence, and I again are working on some intercom upgrades for the building. Right now, in our drills, like an active shooter drill or something of that nature, it's hard to get the announcement out to the whole building because they've kind of separated Duval from the board office. So I go and tell the board office secretaries, and they announce it. Mr. Spence did make a new extension to where it should go to all the phones, but it's not quite up and running yet. And the other part of that would be just, I think in the future here, it'd be nice for the intercom system to be able to work outside to where you can hear outside the building. Because like, for example, if we do something during recess, we're not going to be able to notify those teachers without calling their cell phones, which we can do, but it would be a lot quicker.
Am I understanding you correctly? There is not an intercom for the whole building?
The way it works, especially once I had bells put in here, we don't want bells ringing in Mr. Barnett's office all day or in our kindergarten office. So they've separated sections of the building using the phone system. So our bells are actually done through the phone system. There is a PA system here that we have Mr. Spence and I've gotten to work with testing it. We just haven't quite figured out how to program it correctly to get to everybody. We do have an extension now that will call all the phones in the building, but I would like to be able to do the intercom to be able to, that way, if you're in the hallway, you can hear it. If you're in the bathroom, you can hear it. Because right now we use the phone system.
So there's an intercom system in place.
It's not quite up and running the way
Kinks
it
out.
could, yeah. But they're working on that. And a lot of that was, Ryan Fisher worked for the county last year and he helped do a lot of that. And we're still trying to figure out some of that stuff. So it's they've been great with helping me. Like I said, there was a new extension we made when we were doing the drills earlier this year. That way I could call everybody at the same time. But I would like the intercom to be able to work in the hallways and outside would be nice.
A simple fix for that is the Alexa system. I've got it in my house.
Mhm.
I've got a unit in every room of my house. And all I have to do is to tell Alexa, drop into all the rooms or whatever, and it broadcasts the intercom throughout all of that. And it's not very expensive.
Yeah.
But there's technology to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also were talking about outside again. Sometimes I've gotten some complaints from our coaches for the basketball teams, especially due to daylight savings time and whatnot. It's really dark outside and we don't have a whole lot of lighting here at the central office, especially out back, where everybody parks for the Duval staff. So anytime after like 6, it's really dark out there. So that's something they talked about. And then key access to the middle school side over here, just out back. We have an awning where we drop off our elementary students with key access for the key card. Our middle school doesn't have an awning and it doesn't have a key card access. That would just be a convenience thing. It's not a pressing thing, but it's something that was mentioned. That would be helpful because we don't necessarily have keys to those doors. Here, I'm not going to read all of those. Those are our members of LSIC. Angie Stewart is our chair. Ms. Stone's here with us. We have Brittany Webb, some parents, Chris Hager and Tisha Bias are our service staff. We have Miss Curry, Miss Kennedy, and Miss Angela. That was my at-large members I elected. At the bottom, we have student safety procedures. So that is just, we adhere to our fire drills, our active shooter drills, shelter in place drills. And we recently did an emergency response drill with our school nurse to make sure our Code Blue system's working properly, and everything's went well so far. So I think I touched on everything I'm supposed to touch on. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Actually, I do. I don't want to put you on the spot here.
Fine.
That homeless number jumps out at me.
Mhm.
About a third of your students are considered homeless.
Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with the guidelines that make homeless. Are you familiar with that?
Yes. Yeah. The McKinney-Vento defines homeless as someone who's either doubled up, homeless in the traditional sense where, that they don't have a home at all and they're living in shelters. It's when parents are living with grandfamilies. There's a whole umbrella term. It's basically if you're not laying your head in your home with it, the traditional family sense, you can be considered homeless if you're not living with just your parents.
Is that federal guidelines?
I think so, right? It's federal guidelines.
Because boy, everybody's grandparents raised their grandkids.
Right, and actually, the way I understand it, if the grandparents are raising the child, they're not considered homeless, but if the grandparents are housing the parent and the children, they are
They
considered
are.
homeless. Is that correct? Out of need, yes. Yeah. Right. Out of necessity.
But you kind of have to dig a little bit to find out if it really was out of need.
You got kids who are living in a camper, they're living out of the car. If they're renting a hotel room monthly, those are all considered home.
Yeah.
Do we do at the beginning or through the school year, do we send out from the principal's offices different things that have information updates throughout the year so we know how it goes? You know what I mean? Like you get new students in all the
Mhm.
time and then you get circumstances change all the time.
Right.
So you never know, is this child living with a grandparent now because of a divorce or?
We
you
could
know.
probably do a better job with the updating the system. Now, if we get a new student or a transfer student, they get the same emergency
Right,
form homeless
that you do
survey.
at the beginning.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but as far as checking in, I know they check in, our social worker checks in with their caseload. Those get updated if we're notified, but probably not all 88. So
Yeah.
that's
But
something we
it
could
would be
probably,
hard to do that, throughout the year, but it would keep you kind of up to who
Right.
with what, where.
right.
Because sometimes you don't know what bus they go on if it's an emergency to get them out because of snow or rain or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can hang on to that attendance rate this year. That will help everything else.
I think so too. And we're
Did he-
working hard with it.
Any other board members have any
I don't think
questions?
I have anything.
Like
All right.
Principal
Thank you.
Barnett, we
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Yeah,
And
Thank you all.
thank you.
Vice Principal
Yeah.
Stone
Thank you.
coming tonight. Is your husband David by any chance? Okay, I'm on Facebook with him. I just made that connection. All right. We appreciate you all coming. Thank you. Robin, thank you for the pen. Mine ran out of ink. Okay, with that, we'll move on to approved minutes of the December 3rd, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Cartwright makes the motion. Wilson seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's 4-0. I should say that Mr. Robert Mosteller is absent tonight. And just 4 members here. Brings us to the administrative section. Any discussion?
Where will this happen, Christie, working with this specialized healthcare? Just wherever we have a child, Mr. Barnett, that she would need to,
Yes.
okay,
Yes, it's
so it would be
itinerant.
various schools.
Yes.
Okay. Would that include the high school too, or because they have nurses up there? I just wonder.
Most likely not. It'd be
Okay.
the middle one.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve administrative items.
And we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Cartwright makes the motion, Wilson seconds. All in favor of approving administrative items, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to the finance section. Any discussion?
Mr. Lucas is in at the financial conference this evening. And up at Stonewall, he and Anita are up there.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the finance.
Wilson makes a motion to approve finance. Second,
I'll second.
Cartwright seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to the personnel section, commonly referred to as the blue sheet. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Cartwright makes the motion.
I'll second.
Wilson seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to comments and concerns.
We're at ground level at the Duval project. I knock on wood that the ground is quit slipping. And they've moved enough earth that they're on ground level. There'll be a little bit more undercutting come out before the footers start. Then the footers will start on there and we'll start seeing steel and block fly before long. Had a meeting with the Order of the Masons Monday. And we discussed the cornerstone and the laying of the cornerstone and what was to be on the cornerstone. And there will be a ceremonial cornerstone laying, probably I'm going to say early February. It has to be done on a Saturday. I'll let everybody know weeks ahead of time so we can make sure that everybody's out. And again, it'll be ceremonial. They'll lay up a series of about 4 block high. Not necessarily in mortar. They'll come in with a tripod and they set the cornerstone down. Then there'll be they call it a casket. And what it is, it's a piece of 6-inch PVC that's capped on either end. And we'll put some artifacts in there. And it may be some of the things that come out of the one from the original building, and like a county directory and like a penny from that year. Some different things like that will go in that casket that'll go in the cornerstone when the building actually gets laid up. So I know when they opened this one, it was pretty cool. Some of the things that went out there is like it had a copy at that time. It wasn't the Lincoln Journal. I can't remember what it was called at that time.
Yeah, probably there's something Democrat and the Lincoln
There was,
Republican, I think.
There was
back then.
a paper in there. The Masons actually their booklet, if you will. Then there was a coin in there, a couple of photographs.
Have a list of all the schools.
List of all the schools and their principals and things of that nature. And that one was actually, it was copper. It was a square and it had a copper lid that was knocked down on it. But they've changed, they've gone to PVC pipes. So that'll be in there as well. So that's what I found out there. Mr. Davis and I attended the school building authority meeting today. We weren't successful this time. But I'm like a bad penny. I'm just gonna keep showing up. But however, on the other side of the coin, we did receive notice. I got it yesterday that we got a $55,000 grant through the Kanawha Valley Foundation, and that will fund 2 extra sites for summer school this year. So we're excited about that, to be able to get that done. And that's
Now, who was that from, that 50?
Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation.
Did we apply for that?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's not a comment or concern, but you said something about the school directory being in the old Cornerstone. Have we gotten a new school directory for this year?
I was waiting till after tonight. She's ready to pull the button and print it. But
Okay,
I wanted to wait till tonight to see if we had any personnel
new
changes.
okay. Any other comments and concerns? Just want to remind the board members that we have a school board training. If you haven't gotten your hours, and if you have gotten your hours and you still want to receive more training, that's open to you. That's in February. You have to sign up with Robin by January 24th, I think she told me.
Where is it?
I'm
David?
going to be attending that, and I understand Mr. Cartwright's going to be there.
Yeah.
He'll be in Charleston.
So,
Was it the 16th, I think, or 15th or 16th of February?
yeah, if you can't attend in person, they usually have the video thing where you can sign on from your house and just acknowledge every now and then that you're on the air and they give you credit for it.
7th and 8th, I was off a week.
7th and 8th. Okay.
February 7th and 8th. And where is it in Charleston?
Marriott.
Marriott.
Marriott Hotel.
Let's see. Anybody have any other comments, concerns? We will be going into executive session to discuss employee discipline. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before we go into executive session. There's something on my mind, but I can't remember it. I guess I'll wait till the next meeting.
Next
Okay,
meeting, we'll be recognizing our nationally board certified teachers. We had 2 new ones and 3 that renewed.
Will be at the high school.
and it's January the 7th, so
January
next
7th.
meeting.
Yes.
Okay, if not, nobody else has anything, I'd like to
make
have
a
a motion, a second to enter executive session.
I'll make a motion to enter executive session.
Wilson makes a motion,
I'll second.
Cartwright seconds. The time is 6:31. All in favor of attending, going into executive session, to discuss employee discipline, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's 4-0. We'll recess. We are reconvening into regular session. We've had a motion by Cartwright, second by Wilson to return to regular session at 6:54. No votes were taken during the executive session. All in favor of returning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And 4-0. Brings us to item 9A. Ratification of suspension of professional employee. Motion and a second to ratify the previously imposed 20-day suspension, November 20 through December 17th, 2024, without pay of a professional employee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Need a motion.
No, you
first.
need a motion and second.
Oh,
I'll make.
I thought I got that already.
No, we did.
Cartwright,
I'll second.
Well,
I'll second.
yeah, Cartwright,
Wilson?
yeah, and then he was gonna say,
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. So we have 4-0 vote, and the employee's name is
Charles Curry.
Charles Curry. Item B, ratification of suspension of service employee.
No, professional employee, or going, oh, B, yeah, okay.
Item B, ratification of suspension of service employee. I'd like to have a motion, a second to ratify the previously imposed 10-day suspension, December 4 through December 17th, without pay of a service employee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Cartwright,
I'll second.
Wilson. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the employee is Allison Miller. All right, brings us to item 10, adjourned until Tuesday, January the 7th at 6 p.m. at Lincoln County High School.
I make a motion.
Wilson makes the motion.
I'll second.
Cartwright seconds. The time is 6:57. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we are adjourned.